Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, my friends, and thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. Today is Friday, the 13th. Friday, September 13th. And we're doing something a little different today. We're covering a local story, a celebrity story, going back to my roots. Remember, the first stuff I posted on my channel about a year ago was a whole series on Kevin Costner's divorce. And today, we are covering a story that's happening right in my backyard. Justin Timberlake is set to appear in court in the Hamptons in Sag Harbor Village Court with regard to the DWI charges that he was arrested on June 18th of 2024. So I'm hoping we can get some live coverage of him coming out of the courthouse. I've got the original court documents for you, as always. And I've got a live shot from a little while ago that was posted by a reporter who is outside the courthouse. Let's take a look. So you can see Sag Harbor is a relatively sleepy town when it's off season. And after Labor Day, it's off season. Here's what's going on with regard to the media outside of the Sag Harbor Municipal Court. It's not going to be televised because this is New York. We don't have cameras in courtrooms. But we are hoping that we'll get a press conference afterwards. So that's what's happening right now outside the courthouse. Not too crowded. I was going to go out there, but there's supposed to be a Carly Gregg hearing today. That hearing was canceled. I saw somebody in the chat asking about the Carly Gregg hearing. That hearing was canceled. I called the court, actually, because I couldn't find anybody airing it today. And usually Law and Crime airs it. Let's take a look at the original court documents with regard to Justin Timberlake's arrest. But first up, let's take a look at his mugshot, which I think is quite possibly the best looking headshot ever. You can let me know what you think. A lot of people thought maybe Sag Harbor PD had some, seriously, bringing sexy back. A lot of people thought maybe Sag Harbor had some sort of special ring lighting and 4K cameras for the celebrities that get arrested out there because, it happens. Is that a gorgeous mugshot or what? Okay, and here's a shot of him that they got originally. He was held overnight in the Sag Harbor Pokey when this happened originally, and this was a picture of him in cuffs leaving the back door. Look what I called it, JT cuffs. So there's that. Here's the original news story as reported by New York Fox 5, because I love my local reporters when it comes to stories like this, whether we're in Kansas, Mississippi, or New York. Here's the original reporting on this from Fox 5, New York.
Finds himself on the wrong side of the law.
Oops.
Major celebrity finds himself on the wrong side of the law.
Justin Timberlake arrested in the Hamptons on a DWI charge after police say he blew through a stop sign and veered out of his lane.
All right, Fox 5's Jody Goldberg joins us live from Sag Harbor with the latest on how this all unfolded. Jody.
Steve and Natasha, many celebrities hang out in the Hamptons, but it's not often you hear about them getting arrested. Police say Justin Timberlake blew a stop sign and he couldn't stay in his lane. And when asked to take a breathalyzer test, he refused 3 times. A first look at Justin Timberlake's mugshot after he was arrested for allegedly driving drunk on Tuesday morning. He told police, "I had 1 martini and I followed my friends home." But according to court documents, he had bloodshot and glassy eyes, smelled like alcohol, and performed poorly on all field sobriety tests.
Anyone can make a mistake, but he should have known better.
Surveillance video shows Timberlake behind the wheel of his gray BMW right before he was pulled over.
He should know better. He absolutely should know better. And how about call an Uber? How about you're a bazillionaire? Why don't you have a driver? How about everyone who lives out in Sag Harbor knows that the American Hotel is known for cops waiting outside for people to leave drunk driving. This video that was released of his BMW traveling down, I think it's Main Street in Sag Harbor, doesn't show any irregularities. It doesn't show him blowing the stop sign or anything. But really, dude, what are we doing? Why don't you have a driver? I don't get it.
Video shows Timberlake behind the wheel of his gray BMW right before he was pulled over. Police say he ran a stop sign at Madison Street and Germain Avenue, and he couldn't stay in his lane.
They'll stop you at the drop of a hat out here. They're very, very strict. They won't let him get away with anything, even if he's a celebrity.
In today's day and age with technology and Uber, and especially someone like Justin with unlimited resources, there's no excuse to get behind the wheel.
Sources say Timberlake was coming from the American Hotel. It's a hotspot in the village of Sag Harbor, and it's also where singer Billy Joel was on Tuesday for lunch. Timberlake is in the...
Love how they just happened to catch Billy Joel at the American Hotel one day, and they actually asked him to comment. I'll see if it's in this piece. Billy Joel has had his own struggles with drunk driving charges many times, totaling many cars.
First celebrity under the spotlight in the Hamptons. In 2003, Joel swerved off the road and crashed into a tree.
Judge not, lest ye be judged.
News of the arrest spread quickly through what's normally a quiet village 100 miles east of New York City. The hotel Timberlake was at is next to the court where he was arraigned and pleaded not guilty. It's also across the street from his attorney's office.
I was staying at the American Hotel, and apparently he was there. You would think this guy has a driver. You know, he's so famous.
I was surprised he'd be driving his own car in one respect. Yeah, and everyone really has to take accountability for their own actions.
Now Timberlake pleaded not guilty. He was released without bail. We reached out to his attorney and representatives. We haven't heard back. He has 2 shows at Madison Square Garden next week, and he's due back in court out here on July 26th. We're in Sag Harbor, Long Island. Jody Goldberg, Fox 5 News. Stephen.
Jody Goldberg getting it done, as always, for us here. Fox 5 New York. Billy Joel, judge not, lest ye be judged. Thank you, Lori Life 360 for the win, for gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, no excuse. No excuse at all. Let's take a look at the original court documents, because that's what we do here. We're a legal-based channel. If we can catch some live coverage, we will. His second appearance was a Zoom appearance. His appearance today is set to be in person. I called the court to see if they had a WebEx or a Zoom or anything set up, and they said no. So we're hoping to get some live. There is a live feed up. I have it up on Fox. We'll see if they are able to catch a press conference. It is worthy to note that his attorney, who is mentioned here in these court documents, Edward Burke, is a celebrity lawyer. He was a DA. His father was a Supreme Court judge here in New York, which is our lowest court. He represented such people you might remember as Lizzie Grubman. Do you remember the case of Lizzie Grubman? 2001, she backed up her SUV into a crowd of people out in the Hamptons outside a nightclub, injuring 16. That was a big case all the way back. That was over 20 years ago. It's hard to believe. Ed Burke also represented Matt Lauer on a number of different things. No, what are we doing here? Give me a second. As did he represent Jason Kidd, the Dallas Mavericks head coach, when he was arrested for drunk driving in Southampton. I think he hit a tree or something. And he represented Daniel Pelosi. Does anybody remember the case of Daniel Pelosi? Yeah, not a great role model for his kids at all. Here's the original Suffolk County intake sheet, which, why doesn't this just switch over? This is the original intake sheet. June 18th, 2024. It was scanned into the computer. Suffolk County District Attorney intake sheet, 7 a.m. The arresting officer, P.O. M. Arkinson. Apparently, the arresting officer did not recognize him. And apparently, there was some publicity after this arrest that this officer is known for, pulling people over all the time. He's a younger officer in Sag Harbor. And, he should, right? And apparently there was some other news reporting that Justin Timberlake had been warned once before he was pulled over for a second time. So he's expected to get a plea deal today, and we're going to see what that plea deal is. Justin Timberlake was born on January 31st of 1981. Wow, that makes me feel really, really old. He was held overnight in jail. Streamer needs to contact me because they don't make it easy for me to flip around to different screens. I have to close it, reopen it, but I'm sure you guys aren't going to be mad at me for that. We got to do what we got to do here. Here's the original Sag Harbor Village Department Alcohol and Drug Influence Report. He was arrested June 18th of 2024 at 12:37 a.m. He refused to do a breathalyzer or a blood test 3 different times. It says location of test or refusal. Sag Harbor Police Department, 70 Division Street, Sag Harbor, New York, 75th Precinct. And the test was refused again on June 18th, 2024 at 1:23 a.m. So got him clocking in at 6'1", 170 pounds, and his residence as Tennessee. It says here, the following paragraph is to be read to the defendant by the officer. You are requested to submit to a chemical test or any portion thereof to be administered at the direction of the police officer for the purpose of determining the alcohol or drug content of your blood in order to ascertain whether or not you are intoxicated. The results of such test or any portion thereof may be used for or against you in court. You are permitted to have a physician of your own choosing administer a chemical test in addition to the one administered at the direction of the police officer. Warnings, you may refuse to take a chemical test or any portion thereof, but, and then it says check applicable box. So this is Sag Harbor. So it's either for a vehicle or a vessel because there are a lot of boaters in Sag Harbor. The box checked off his vehicle, and it says refusal to submit to a chemical test or any portion thereof will result in immediate suspension and subsequent revocation of your license or privilege to operate a motor vehicle, whether or not you are found guilty of the charge for which you are arrested. And that is the law here in the state of New York. If you refuse a breathalyzer or a blood test, you have an automatic license suspension for 1 year. And then it says here, he's supposed to initial. It says your refusal to submit to a chemical test or any portion thereof can be introduced in evidence against you at any trial, proceeding, or hearing resulting from this arrest. And then the officer wrote next to that, refused to initial. Note, defendant will write either of the following words, consent or refuse in the space provided. And he wrote, I hereby, he wrote in refuse to submit to a chemical test. He signed it. So there's his autograph. If anybody wants his autograph, Justin Timberlake's autograph. In quotes, this is no, I am not doing a chemical test. And then it says here, if refused, time and comment of the second request, I refuse. That was at 1:08 a.m. Third request, I refuse at 1:23 a.m. Signed by Police Officer M. Arkinson of the Sag Harbor Police Department. And then we go to the officer's narrative. Which I will make larger for you so you can read it a little bit better. Timberlake Justin R., date of birth 1/31/81, arrested at the above time and location for driving a motor vehicle while intoxicated. While on routine patrol Undersigned officer observed a 2025 gray BMW bearing Florida registration traveling southbound on Madison Street, a public highway in the village of Sag Harbor, town of Southampton, county of Suffolk, state of New York. Undersigned officer did observe the above vehicle fail to stop at a posted stop sign at Madison Street, cross street of Germain Avenue at 0017. At 0018 hours, undersigned officer observed the above vehicle fail to keep to the right side of the roadway on Madison Street with a cross street of Forest Street, and again at Madison Street with a cross street of Susan Street. Undersigned initiated a traffic stop at Madison Street with a cross street of Middle Line Highway. Upon contact with the defendant, it was ascertained that the defendant was operating said vehicle in an intoxicated condition, in that his eyes were bloodshot and glassy. A strong odor of an alcoholic beverage was emanating from his breath. He was unable to divide attention. He had slowed speech. He was unsteady of foot, and he performed poorly on all standardized field sobriety tests. At 0037 hours, the defendant was placed under arrest and transported to Sag Harbor Police Headquarters to be processed. The alcohol influence report was read in its entirety to the defendant at 0052 hours, to which the defendant responded, "Nope, I'm not doing a chemical test." The alcohol influence report was read in its entirety a second time at 107 hours, to which the defendant responded, "I refuse." The alcohol influence report was read in its entirety a third time and 122 hours, or 0122 hours, to which the defendant responded, "I refuse." The defendant was transported to East Hampton Town Police Headquarters, awaiting morning arraignment, Sag Harbor Village Court. We then have for you the results of the roadside field sobriety test. Which is a little bit fakakta because it's kind of mixed up. It's like a brochure, and so we have to go from page 1 and back to, hold on a second. So on the right here is page 1. It's a little bit weird. This is the standardized field sobriety test notes. See if I can make that bigger. For Justin Timberlake on 6/18/24. And it reads as follows. SFST clues. If a subject cannot do the test, record observed clues and document the reason for not completing the test. HGN, lack of smooth pursuit. 2 clues, distinct and sustained nystagmus at maximum deviation. 2 clues, onset of nystagmus prior to 45 degrees. 2 clues. So that's when they ask you to follow, the pen with your eyes. Walk and turn. Oh, here's what it says. Total 6 clues. If 4 or more clues are observed, it is likely that the subject's BAC is at or above 0.08, which in New York is the limit for DWI. Anything over 0.08 is DWI. Walk and turn. Cannot keep balance, starts too soon, stops while walking, misses heel to toe, steps off line, uses arms to balance, incorrect number of steps, improper turn. Total 8 clues, 2 or more clues indicates a BAC at or above 0.08. It's interesting. 1 leg stand, swaying while balancing, uses arms to balance, hopping, or puts foot down. Says total 4 clues, 2 or more clues indicates a BAC at or above 0.08. Additionally, a subject's performance of these tests may provide valid clues of drug impairment. And then it tells you exactly how these tests are performed. Number 1, horizontal gaze nystagmus test. Have subject remove glasses, Subject should be turned away from emergency lights. Stimulus held approximately 12 to 15 inches in front of subject's nose, just slightly above eye level. Initiating the HGN test. Ask the subject to put their feet together, hands at their side, look straight ahead, and keep their head still. Give the following verbal instructions. I'm going to check your eyes. Keep your head still and follow the stimulus with your eyes only. Keep your eyes on the stimulus until I tell you to stop. And then it has contacts, checked off yes. Equal pupils, checked off yes. Resting nystagmus, checked off no. And equal tracking, checked off yes. Then it says enter yes or no, right eye, left eye. Lack of smooth pursuit, says present in both eyes. Distinct and sustained nystagmus at max deviation, it says present in both eyes. Onset of nystagmus prior to 45 degrees, present in both eyes. Vertical nystagmus, I don't know how to pronounce that. And checks off the box, no. And we have to jump to page 2, which is on a different document. And test number 2 is the walk and turn test. It says he was wearing sneakers. Type of footwear is sneakers. It says subjects with heels 2 inches or higher should be given the opportunity to remove their footwear. You need to know your rights, my friends. You need to know your rights. Instruction stage. And that gives the officer a script to read. Place your left foot on the line. Real or imaginary, demonstrable. Place your right foot on the line ahead of the left foot with the heel of the right foot against the toe of your left foot. And then it says demonstrate. So the officer is supposed to demonstrate these tests for you. Place your arms down at your sides. Demonstrate. Maintain this position until I have completed the instructions. Do not start to walk until told to do so. Do you understand the instructions so far? Make sure subject verbally acknowledges understanding. Yeah, don't forget to hit the like button. This was a very last minute live, so if you didn't get a notification, don't feel bad. And then it goes on to the walking stage. When I tell you to start, take 9 heel to toe steps, turn and take 9 heel to toe steps back. Demonstrate 3 heel to toe steps. When you turn, keep the front foot on the line and turn by taking a series of small steps with the other foot like this. Demonstrate. While you're walking, keep your arms at your sides, watch your feet at all times, and count your steps out loud. Once you start walking, don't stop until you have completed the test. Do you understand the instructions? Make sure the subject understands. Make sure that the subject verbally acknowledges understanding. Begin and count your first step from the heel to toe position as 1. And the officer draws a diagram. And then you're judged on whether you can follow directions. And under the instructions stage, you have some choices here. Cannot keep balance or starts too soon. And the starts too soon box is checked off. Then during the walking stage, it says stops while walking, and it's between the first 9 steps and the second 9 steps. Seems he didn't do either of those. Misses heel to toe. And missing heel to toe means that you leave a space of more than a half an inch. During the first 9 steps, the officer wrote down that he missed heel to toe on steps 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And on the second 9, he missed all steps. Steps off the line. During the first 9 steps, the officer wrote he stepped off the line on steps 2 and 3. And on the second 9 steps, he stepped off the line on 9, 10, 11, 12. Uses arms to balance. Apparently he didn't do that. Incorrect number of steps. And it says record actual number of steps taken. For the first 9, it says he took 11 steps instead of 9. And on the second 9, he took 12 steps instead of 9. improper turn, and then it says describe, and it says he turned the wrong way and he used his heel to turn. I mean, he is a dancer, right? The next test that was given in the field was the one leg stand test. Type of footwear, sneakers, and it says time them for 30 seconds. And again, subjects with heels 2 inches or higher should be given the opportunity to remove their footwear. Initial positioning and verbal instructions. Stand with your feet together and your arms by your side. Do not start to perform the test until I tell you to do so. Do you understand the instructions so far? Make sure subject verbally acknowledges understanding. Paige, I have to agree with you here. Paige is like, I don't even drink and I feel like I'd fail this test. Instructions for the balancing and counting stage. When I tell you to start, raise one leg, either leg, with the foot approximately 6 inches off the ground, keeping your raised foot parallel to the ground. Keep both legs straight and your arms by your side. While holding that position, count out loud in the following manner: 1001, 1002, 1003, and so on until told to stop. I don't know that that could be hard to do for a lot of people that are even sober. Balance on one leg. Keep your arms at your sides at all times and keep watching the raised foot. Do you understand? Make sure subject verbally acknowledges understanding. Go ahead and begin the test. You should always time for 30 seconds, at which time discontinue the test. If the subject puts their foot down, instruct the subject to pick the foot up again. Oh, here we go. We have the live coverage. All right, so if this is live, he's just walking into the courthouse. He just walked into the courthouse at 11:18. The hearing was scheduled for 11. So we're assuming that he's going to come back. I can't believe he walked in the front door of the courthouse. That was kind of crazy. All right, well, thanks for that, Fox Live. We'll be right here waiting for when they come back out, and I'm sure his attorney will give a press conference because he always does. So much for being on time. It says you should always time for 30 seconds, at which time to continue the test. If the subject puts their foot down, instruct the subject to pick the foot up again and continue counting from the point at which the foot touched the ground. There's left foot, right foot, right foot. And does it say, it says here, I can't read what that says. Stand something foot on the test. Sways while balancing. Left foot says sways while balancing when the left foot was on the ground. When the left foot was on the ground, he used his arms to balance. Hopping, it says none. And he put his foot down when he had the left foot on the ground. Red fish, blue fish. I know, right? Going back to page 4 of this same field sobriety test. It says pre-arrest video of incident. It says yes. Pre-screen breath test and results refused. Given by refused. Yeah, it wasn't choreographed for him, so he failed. Crystal Pond with the comment of the morning. Yeah, you don't have to do a sobriety test. You can just ask for a breath allowed. He didn't want to do it. He refused. Refused the breath. And so It's an automatic license suspension of 1 year in New York, and that will carry over to other states, but it's okay because he can afford a driver. Vehicle operation. It says, was the vehicle operation observed? Yes. If yes, by whom? Arresting officer Arkinson. Driver ID produced? Yes. Tennessee driver's license. Number of occupants in vehicle? 1. Driver Justin R. Timberlake. Notes. Bloodshot and glassy eyes. Odor of alcoholic beverage emanating from breath. Inability to divide attention. Unsteady afoot. Quote, I had 1 martini and I followed my friends home, end quote. That was the statement at the scene. While conducting WAT and OLS tests, he was very unbalanced, unable to follow instructions correctly on WAT and OLS, unable to focus on speaking while looking for vehicle registration. Officer's name, Arkinson, and that was signed June 18th of 2024. So there's everything you need to know about field sobriety tests if you ever get pulled over in New York, what they're going to ask you to do. Let's take a look at something else here that I pulled for you. Here's a video. Here's the clean video of, this was posted by, I think, Hamptons.com. And this is just the video of his car going down the street before he was pulled over. Take a look at that. His car will be the gray, like SUV BMW. I don't know if that was the stop sign. It's not really clear to me.
It's another day in court for Justin Timberlake.
This was with regard to his second appearance. Fox 5, New York. Today is his third appearance.
It's another day in court for Justin Timberlake. A judge ordered him to appear virtually in a Long Island courtroom for his DWI charge in the Hamptons back in June. Jessica's live outside the courthouse with the very latest on this. Jessica, what do we know so far?
Bianca, that's right. He appeared here virtually. He was calm, did not say a lie, just a couple of words, and he pleaded not guilty to his DWI charge. Now, take a look. These are the photos of Justin Timberlake in the video conference here in the courthouse in Sag Harbor. Last week, Timberlake's attorney filed a motion to dismiss the case. The judge told the attorney if he moved forward with his motion, there's a possibility he would lose, and in that case, they would issue a warrant for Timberlake's rearrest. The attorney opted to withdraw his motion and move forward with the rearrangement. Timberlake, who is in Germany for his world tour, pleaded not guilty. Now, the judge suspended his license. He cannot drive here in the state of New York until the matter is resolved. Now, inside the courthouse, things got a little tense between the judge and Timberlake's attorney. The judge not happy with Timberlake's attorney, Ed Burke's comments that he made last week to the media. The judge said they came off as an attempt to, quote, poison the case before it even begins. He threatened a gag order. Now, you're about to hear from Timberlake's attorney outside the courthouse this morning.
We all have jobs to do, and we're obligated to zealously defend our clients, and that's what I plan on doing.
Now, the next court date is for August 9th. This is a lawyers' conference. Justin Timberlake does not have to be present. Now, there is a tentative date for the pop star to appear here in court. That is September 13th. Now, the judge will make that final ruling next week as to exactly when that date will be and if Justin will have to be here in person. The attorney telling us outside the courthouse that doesn't mean that he necessarily needs to be here in person, but we'll see what happens. That's the latest we have from Sag Harbor. I'm Jessica Formoso, Fox 5 News.
We are getting our first look at.
And that is Jessica Formoso. She is a local New York reporter. Let's take a look at the first few seconds of what we just missed as he walked into the courtroom. And they're replaying this now. This was just from a few moments ago.
In June. So we've been waiting for this to happen. Let's listen in for a second to see if anybody's shouting any questions.
Is he really wearing a t-shirt to court?
Move over. Move over.
Really? Dude, you couldn't put a blazer on? Oh, come on, man.
Officially in the courthouse, and you can see there's quite a crowd out front in Sag Harbor in June.
That's embarrassing.
So,
how do you not put a blazer
we've been
on?
waiting for this.
I'm sorry. That's just disrespectful to the court, in my opinion. There are judges in New York. I'm a practicing lawyer. I've been practicing for over 30 years here in New York. There was a judge in Brooklyn who would not allow female attorneys to wear slacks in his courtroom. And there are other judges in family court that won't allow t-shirts and tank tops and shorts to be worn in their courtroom, and they will send litigants home to go get changed. So, yeah, especially since he's known for his style. I mean, that's just, in my opinion, not a good look. In my opinion. No one asked. But you know who did speak out about this? Our district attorney, Ray Tierney, who is also the district attorney that is going to be handling the Long Island serial case for suspected Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann. Tierney said, let me bring this over here and show it to you. I don't want to miss that live stream again when it comes back on. According to the New York Post, Justin Timberlake may have reached a plea deal in his Hamptons DWI case, but Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney says that the pop star isn't receiving any special treatment. Tierney wouldn't comment specifically on the alleged pact, which would drop the case from a DWI to a traffic violation. I don't think that's true. I think they're going to drop it from a DWI to a driving while impaired charge. That would be ridiculous if they wouldn't drop it to a stop sign or, you know, a swerving charge. That really would be special treatment. And I can't see them doing that. Let me just pull up the article so you can see what I'm talking about and see the picture of Ray Tierney, our district attorney. Or the district attorney of Suffolk County. And there he is. You might recognize him from the Rex Heuermann Long Island serial killer case. He's going to be trying that case personally, apparently. Tierney wouldn't comment specifically on the alleged pact, which would drop the case from a DWI to a traffic violation, but told Page 6 exclusively the day before Timberlake, 43, is expected in court in Sag Harbor. He's charged with driving while intoxicated. Then there's a lesser charge as driving while impaired, which happens in a number of cases. So we're going to continue to negotiate the case. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out in court, whether or not we could come to an agreement. We'll have to see. He added of the Friday hearing, there are certain things that the prosecution wants and certain things that the defense wants, and there's certain things that the court wants. So you factor in all of those things, you go to court and see if you could work them out. So we'll see if we could work it out tomorrow. Ray Tierney is not known for his eloquence, as you can see by those quotes. But he said that the Crimea River singer won't get any special VIP treatment from his office. The one thing that we want to make sure we're doing is being consistent, and we don't want to treat any defendant better than others because of any perceived notoriety they may have. He added, but we certainly don't want to treat people worse for the same reason. So we're taking pains to make sure that we're treating this case like any other case of its kind. TMZ reported that Timberlake's tentative deal will allow him to dodge drunk driving charges and instead be slapped with a traffic violation. I don't see that happening here. But if it is a first offense, it is common, and I will say that if it's reduced to a driving while impaired, that is a common plea in first offense DWI cases here in New York. As part of the reported deal to be entered on Friday, Timberlake will pay a reported $300 to $500 fine, but the exact fine would be set by the judge in this case. When we asked if things could change on Friday, Tierney did say, I think that happens a lot. I think as we've been talking about, the process is that the parties get together, the prosecution and the defense, they discuss the case. We have to provide discovery, make sure we do all of that, and we discuss the case, and then we discuss the case with the court. He added that while it's often hard to reach a deal between all the parties, we've been discussing the case with the defense as we do with all our cases. We've been conferencing with the court, and we'll just have to see what happens tomorrow. There's a lot of word salad going on. Every single time this guy talks, I'm going to put the word salad emoji in the chat because Ray Tierney and word salad go hand in hand. If you know, you know. He added that while it's often hard to reach a deal between all the parties. Did I just read that? We've been discussing with the defense. Yeah, la, 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 la. While the Timberlake incident is prominently on the radar of celebrity watchers, Tierney and his office have also been working on more serious cases, including the blockbuster trial of Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Heuermann, which Tierney will prosecute himself. I think we handle about 54,000 or so cases a year approximately, he said. So we're dealing with a tremendous amount of cases. We dealt with the Gilgo Beach investigation, which was certainly a significant case. All our cases are significant. If they were not important, we wouldn't do them. The eloquence is amazing. He said of the Timberlake case, when you talk about criminal liability, this is certainly on the lower scale. This is a misdemeanor case and not a murder or felony case. So, I think basically the challenges and what we strive to do is we strive to treat it as every other case of its kind. And we don't treat it differently just because we're getting a lot of media scrutiny. And the media scrutiny in this case, certainly far in excess to that, not what you would normally see in a case involving a misdemeanor. There he is. The DA doesn't recall where he was when he heard about the Timberlake arrest. Really? Oh my God, what a question. I remember finding out about it, he said. I don't remember where I was. I mean, I do remember where I was in a number of other cases, not this one. Fortunately, no one was hurt in this case. We just had a case where it's alleged that an individual went through a nail salon and killed 4 people. Yeah, I remember that one. That happened on a Friday afternoon. I remember distinctly where I was after hearing that terrible news, but not this case. Timberlake was arrested in Sag Harbor in June and refused to take a breathalyzer after blowing through a stop sign near the swanky American hotel, we reported previously. Timberlake had claimed he had just one martini with friends, but police said he failed a series of field sobriety tests and displayed multiple signs of intoxication. We just looked at the field sobriety test report. But he allegedly showed signs of poor balance and an inability to follow instructions, according to police. The former NSYNC star and his local power attorney in the case, Edward Burke Jr., have repeatedly denied that he was drunk at the time of his arrest. Burke's office told the Post that he was not able to make a comment about the potential deal as of Wednesday. Following his arrest, Justice Carl Irachi suspended Timberlake's driver's license. And like I said, that is automatic in New York. If you don't blow, your license goes automatically. Let's go to the chat for a minute while we're waiting for the live feed to come up. Thank you, Fun Size, for thanking me for everything that I do and for being a member for a month. Thank you, Melissa, for your super sticker. Thanks, Christina, for becoming a new member. I think we should pull this up so in case it comes up, we'll be ready. Hello, Mama She. Happy Friday, beautiful Melanie and cupcakes. Yes, Justin Timberlake didn't want to bring sexy back to court today. Yeah, I find that disrespectful if you're just tuning in. We were waiting for Justin Timberlake to come out of the courthouse. He went into the courthouse at about 11:16 a.m. His appearance was scheduled for 11. There are lots of media clamoring outside the Sag Harbor courthouse, which is a very kind of sleepy town on the off season. And so we're waiting for him to come out and for his attorney to give a press conference and hopefully get some details of the plea deal that he's going to be offered today. He did not wear a blazer to court. He had a black t-shirt on. I couldn't even tell if it was long sleeve or short sleeve. Did you? Could you tell? Thank you, young black economist, for chiming in. I think a lot of people get mixed up with the field sobriety test because they have, in fact, had a drink or two and they get nervous. If you're totally sober, it's rare they'll ever ask you to get out. What do you mean to get out? Me, Mary D says, really need to see the body cam video because cops can say anyone failed those roadside tests. Jeanette loves NSYNC. I have to take that, of course. I don't know who Audrey D is, but seems to be getting a lot of attention in the chat. Hi, Truth Art said, if Justin Timberlake had nothing to hide, my opinion, he should take the test. If he, many lawyers will say, and I don't give legal advice on this channel, but even if you have one drink, you should refuse the test. Many lawyers will tell you that. Maybe some lawyers will not tell you that. What the heck? He should have on a suit, says Adam Alley's resignation. Your mom. Your mom. JT has certainly trashed his reputation over the last few years, but he's still cute to me. Sorry, not sorry. If he pleads down to driving while impaired, that is a typical plea deal, so he won't be getting any special treatment, in my opinion. His original charges were 1 count of driving while intoxicated and 2 other traffic violations. Failing to stop at a stop sign. And swerving or veering out of his lane. It was also reported that he only had 1 martini. He was held for 9 hours in jail in Sag Harbor. And we read the rest of the documents, so we know exactly what they showed. News, I don't know if News 12 is on this. We're waiting for the live stream to begin. Tick, tick, boom says, if you refuse tests, they have no evidence in court. A lot of people are being arrested that are not under the influence. It takes months for those blood tests to come back for drugs and alcohol. Thank you. Team Brittany, good morning, my love. I really don't care what they do or do not do to him as long as he doesn't arrive drunk again. It doesn't matter who he is to me. That's why we have that rule that if you refuse to blow, your license is automatically revoked or suspended for a year. So hopefully that will be a detractor for him. It's supposed to be a detractor for everyone. Yeah, his poor wife, she's been through it with him. I know. He's married to Jessica Alba, for those who don't know. She was filming a movie when this happened. Clan Beth says this is going to ruin the tour. Actually, he went on tour right after this arrest. Right? Blockbuster trial. Well, I think the Long Island serial killer is going to be a blockbuster trial, right? Peg Bundy in the chat. He's not the most eloquently spoken attorney. I think you're talking about Ray Tierney. And I think I agree. I don't know who Audrey is, but I loved her up until now. Are you talking about me? Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? I loved her up until now. So whatever I think, she takes all women's side no matter what. She probably took Amber Heard's side. Have you ever watched my channel before? Did you watch my coverage of Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt? Were you here for that? So not really sure where you're coming from or what you're talking about, but hope you're having a great morning. Titan says, I'm not saying Karen legally wouldn't be able to beat a DUI charge, but let's not ignore that she was in fact driving while tipsy, as she said in her. She did. She admitted to it. She did admit to it. Owl Salt, the real New Yorker, comes out occasionally. Ain't no cupcake. Toka Vids is explaining who Justin Timberlake is. He is a singer, dated Britney Spears in the 2000s and was in the boy band NSYNC, and then he went solo. Jerry Harris, it's sad he can afford a driver. This should have never happened. Yep. That is correct. We'll see. We'll see if they're going to come on and give us some information. While we're waiting for that, we can take a look at the beautiful American Hotel in Sag Harbor. Where Justin was having dinner with friends before his being pulled over. Here's the lovely American Hotel in Sag Harbor. Beautiful. They have a nice restaurant there. Fan favorite of people who go out to the Hamptons. Let's see how much their rooms are. Look kind of small. Oh, it's one of those places where you have to call in to book a room. But let's say if we just wanted to go, October 18th for 2 nights. Let's see how much it would cost. Starting at $325 a night. And that's off season. So I can't even imagine how much it costs to stay there in the summer. But apparently they have a nice restaurant too. Here's some pictures of the restaurant. It's lovely. Celebrity hangout. Billy Joel's old haunt. Yeah, Billy Joel was there a couple of days after Justin Timberlake's arrest. We just showed a clip of him where he said, they asked him, what do you think about Justin Timberlake's drunk driving arrest? And he said, judge not, lest he be judged. Yes, he is also an actor. That is correct. Thank you. It's Connie. It is lovely. Oysters featured prominently. Blue Point oysters are from Long Island, so that's kind of interesting. We're still waiting. See how long this court appearance is taking. So he went in at around 11:16, and we're just here. Soper Girl said, I had a man call me a cupcake yesterday. I politely said, actually be kind. But Bish, you got the right one today. Check it, dude. Marco's like, I got drunk just looking at his mugshot. Scott says, because Karen Reed is accused of murder and there's no way she hit him, period. That's the difference. Carrie says, this is not what all Long Island looks like. Just an FYI. Funny, funny. Well, I don't know. Have they been dropped yet? Apparently he's going to be pleading guilty, so we're waiting for the details. Just waiting. Still waiting. So here's the receipt on that. Refusing a breathalyzer test, as Timberlake did during his arrest, triggers an automatic suspension of one's license under New York state law, which should then be enforced in other states, according to a legal expert that was interviewed by an NBC station. Most states participate in the Interstate Driver's License Compact, an agreement to share information about license suspensions and traffic violations. If a license is suspended in one state, it should be suspended in all states. In practice, though, it can take a long time for such changes to be reflected across state lines. Although this is so highly publicized that I'm pretty sure Tennessee is going to get wind of whatever happens here pretty quick. Justin Timberlake is a 10-time Grammy winner. And days later, after this arrest at a performance in Chicago, he told the audience, "It's been a tough week, but you're here and I'm here. Nothing can change this moment right now." Go to the chat. See what you guys are thinking, what you've got to say. Thank you, Lori Life 360, for the win, for gifting 5 memberships. You're always so kind and generous to the channel. And for those of you who are gifted them randomly by YouTube, welcome. Fun size, I thanked you. Let's see what we're doing here. Pilgrim Shadow, thanks for the 10. Melanie for Audrey. Please forget you knew my name, my darling Sugary. Thank you. Shake it, Sugary. Always coming in with the Grateful Dead quotes when they're most needed. There's a quote for every. Isn't there a song quote for everything? Right? There always is a song quote for everything. Thank you, Wednesday Ophelia, for coming in with the InSync trivia. We need some trivia right now. For anyone who doesn't know, Bye 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 is about their con artist manager, Lou Pearlman, whom they and the Backstreet Boys fought in court. That's interesting. Thank you, Wednesday Ophelia. I appreciate you. Oh, it's Jessica Biel. Sorry. Right, it's Jessica Biel. I'm confusing my Jessicas. I'm so sorry. He's married to Jessica Biel. You're 100% right. You are 100% right. I love when you guys collaborate and correct me in your kind and gentle way, as you always do. Hello, Not Sir Ray Davies. Thanks for the 20. My wife and I keep a breathalyzer in the glove compartments of our cars, and we use them to make driving decisions when we're out having fun and alcohol is involved. Some bars actually have them behind the bar also. Thank you, Not Sir Ray Davies, for coming in with your 20. I would also say to you that I would not rely necessarily on your breathalyzer as being as properly calibrated as the one that law enforcement may be carrying. And I would always say that there's no shame in leaving your car anywhere and taking an Uber home and going to get your car the next day. Better safe than sorry. Thank you so much for coming in with the super chat. Tina says, and that same person ruined Janet Jackson's career after the Super Bowl wardrobe malfunction. Yeah, stupid mistake. Don't we all make them? Yep. Wednesday says, Lou Pearlman's an interesting subject, not just for his involvement in creating boy bands. What an interesting scammer. Search for You says, please do not forget to give some recognition to his backup band, the Tennessee Kids. Amazing. All right. Let's give some love to the Tennessee Kids, everyone. Give them some love. Still waiting for the after court press conference. And so we can find out a little bit more about what the plea deal for Justin Timberlake is going to be. My guess is that it's going to be a driving while impaired charge. and that he will get a fine and a 90-day license suspension. But I think it's because he refused to blow, he automatically gets the 1 year. You thought it was Jessica Alba too? It is Jessica Biel. Let's show some love to Jessica Biel. Owl Salt pulled up the Wikipedia on Lou Pearlman. Says he died apparently in 2016. He was an American music manager and scam artist. According to Wikipedia, 0 punches pulled. He says, also, no one knows his impairment. If he had 1 martini, like he said, then he probably was okay to drive. But they say refuse every time. Even if you blow 0.00, then they decide you're impaired and you are DUI. Mistrial. What is the latest on the guy who hit the Gaudreau brothers? Only saw his first court appearance where he didn't seem to grasp the gravity of the charges. Thanks for asking, because he's scheduled to be back in court. They held him over again. That hearing that was scheduled for last week was again adjourned. I think I put it in my calendar. That's a tragic story. I don't have it at the ready right here, but I'm wondering if it's today. I'll check on that. His name is Higgins, Sean Higgins, allegedly driving drunk past a car on the right. And it seemed like they were kind of playing chicken, and struck and killed Johnny Gaudreau, and his brother Matthew, who were on bicycles, who were in town for their sister's wedding the next day. Both killed. It was reported at the time that Matthew's wife was pregnant. And then at Johnny Gaudreau's funeral, Johnny's wife, in the eulogy, told everyone that she was pregnant as well. Tragic. Tragic. Yeah. That's horrible. Jessica Biel was in the show Sinners, and that was a great show with Bill Pullman. That was a really good show. I liked it a lot. Yes, thank you for reminding me. I posted this on my Instagram. Professional juror says 2020 is doing a special on Ashley Benefield tonight, considering how they showed Karen. I don't have high hopes. If anybody wants any homework and wants to debrief that show over the weekend, I plan on watching it so that we can talk about it. Millennial Disney Nerd says, I plan my nights out around getting an Uber. I take one there and back. If I were rich, I'd get a chauffeur. Great. Very, very smart. There's a documentary about Lou Pearlman, yeah? Thank you, Carla, who says there's a free documentary here on YouTube called The Boy Band Con, the Lou Pearlman story, maybe. It has direct involved from the boy band members about SA. In addition to the fraud, it's informative. That's interesting if you guys want to go watch it later, not now. Grace, I'm so sorry, says my parents were almost killed by a drunk driver. I have no tolerance for anyone driving while impaired. Shantae's Inferno says, is Jessica Biel going to end up with him back up? Is Jessica Biel going to end up with him back in rehab? He's had alcohol issues for years. Anthony P. says, with regard to Sean Higgins and the Gaudreau brothers, they are keeping him in jail. Judge says he was a flight risk. Sweater weather. RP, is it sweater weather? I'm thinking he had a sweater over top his t-shirt. It's only 74 right now. Perfect cashmere weather. Sweater weather in Sag Harbor on the East End. He still could have put a blazer over it. No? I don't know. Respect. Joe Biffle says, never talk to the cops. Waste time and breathe heavy to metabolize faster, hence lowering your BAC. Just don't drive. Just don't drive. Just leave your car. It's so interesting, the generational differences in this, because I think our generation, when I say our, I mean our Gen X. Is that we are Gen X? Yeah, Gen X. Has a completely different stance on getting in the car after a drink or two than the millennials and Gen Z, who were taught absolutely never, and they don't. It's a completely different. It's a generational thing. I'm going to submit to you. And I don't think we talk about how dangerous it is to get behind the wheel while being deliriously tired. It's a conversation we have had more often. Yeah, that is true too. Miss Trials says her husband's a huge New York Rangers fan, but can't talk about what happened to the Gaudreau brothers without choking up. I know the show I did on that was really hard. It was a really hard show. Thank you, Carla. No hacks. Just don't drink and drive. Just don't do it. You think the guy that tragically killed the brother, Sean Higgins, is making his court appearance this morning? Probably on Zoom, right? Everyone, please hit the like button while we're here and still waiting. Wonder what they're hammering out and why they are not coming live. This is why live TV is, not always easy. So if you're on the replay, you have the ability to fast forward until the live coverage begins. Yeah, little cupcake. Sober is sexy. Sober is sexy. Right on. Let's see. News 12 have anything up yet? You'd think they'd be out there. See if anybody else has anything to report on this as we speak. Nothing yet. Somebody got a nice still shot of Justin walking into the courthouse, and it does look like he's got on some type of sweater. What do you think? It's hard to say. He's got a big chain around his neck. Looks like a bicycle chain almost. Black t-shirt, and maybe there's like a black sweater over it. Sweater weather. It's sweater weather. Thank you, Vicky. Vicky says, I'm a baby boomer. I've never had a drink and drove. I really don't enjoy alcohol. I like having all my senses working in unison. Shirt with a cardigan, maybe. Maybe. Is the sweater from Ross or Marshalls? No, I'm pretty sure it's probably a very nice, expensive sweater. Judith says he's looking like Thug Light. He's too old to not know how to dress for court. Yeah, I just don't. Oh, they're pearls? He wears them all the time? Thanks, Bernadette. That's what I said. No, it's not going to show anything inside. I know that, but thanks, Donna. Court TV just showed the press all set up. Doesn't look like it's going to show anything inside. No, but they'll come out and his attorney will do a press conference. It's New York, so we don't have cameras in courtrooms here. But I thought we could check them coming out of the courtroom, at least doing some kind of press conference. But who knows how long they're going to drag this out for. Wild man's mom. He must not have pets, or he would have hair everywhere. Yeah, there would be pet hair all over the place. All over the black. Exennial Disney Nerd says maybe he didn't want to be flashy since he's a celebrity. He still should have dressed up, but that was my first thought. Brittany, please just text Justin and tell him what's going on. Thank you. Thank you so much, Team Brittany. I don't know that there's anybody live tweeting. If you guys find somebody, let me know. Sharon coming in. Not pearls of wisdom around his neck. Not pearls of wisdom. Very funny. A lot of people don't care about this story at all, but we're here for it because why not? Carla says Justin just doesn't know how to get out of his own way with all of his controversies. He should have just had an effort to dress better with all the cameras in front of the court. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Oh, thanks, Rabbit. Thanks, Rabbit. Yep, JT hired the DUI guy at the Hamptons. I pointed out that Ed Burke Jr. also represented Lizzie Grubman. Do you guys remember Lizzie Grubman? She backed into a crowd of people outside of a nightclub in the Hamptons all the way back in 2001. She injured 16 people. She was like a publicist or something. He also represented Matt Lauer on a bunch of things out in the Hamptons. Jason Kidd, the Dallas Mavericks head coach, who was busted for drunk driving. I think he hit a tree or something in Southampton. Daniel Pelosi. Remember Daniel Pelosi? But yeah, he's pretty well known out in the Hamptons and Suffolk County in general. Ashley Oaks, my dad told me once I started driving that if I even think about drinking and driving, all my belongings will be on the front lawn and my ass will be grass. Never done it to this day. It's amazing. Right? How something like that can change what you do and don't do as a child. Parenting. Oh, thank you, Pilgrim Shadow. Daniel Perry's trial is next month. He's the former Marine who put a guy that was harassing people on the subway in New York City. The guy died. Penny's charged with manslaughter and negligent homicide. Unfortunately, again, in that case, there will be no cameras in the courtroom, but we're going to cover that one because I did a show on that case and I found that to be a tragic case. And if my kids were on a subway and a guy came on that was like that, I would want Daniel Penny on my subway car, Pilgrim Shadow. Well, here's what happened. Breaking news on the Sean Higgins case that we were just, in fact, talking about. The DWI suspect accused of killing NHL star Johnny Gaudreau and his younger brother in a road accident last month broke down in tears when he was denied bail Friday morning. Sean Higgins, 43, became visibly upset when Judge Michael Silvano sided with prosecutors' argument that he should remain behind bars. Higgins will be able to appeal the decision, Silvano said, but ordered him to appear again before the court next month regardless. So there you go. You heard it here first. Sean Higgins denied bail. Tragic story about the Gaudreau brothers. It's Casual Friday, Jerry. I know. I know. Lizzie was the story right before 9. You know what else was the story right before 9/11? Remember Chandra Levy and Gary Condit? Same. I'm not dissing Justin. I'm just saying, you want leniency from the court, you got to show up and respect the court. It's just my opinion as an attorney of 30 years practicing in the state of New York. Judges don't really like it when people show up like that, casual, not showing respect for the court. They just don't. Mods are killing it today. Yeah, didn't Lizzie Grubman yell something about being important? Well, she probably did. Like, don't you know who I am? One of those kind of things. Yes, we corrected that. Thank you. Michelle, you must be behind. He's married to Jessica Biel. Thank you. And that is the proper spelling of Biel. So thank you for that. I get the Jessicas confused sometimes. Lizzie Grubman, the publicist who needed a publicist. That's right. Thank you, Pilgrim Shadow. Haas long until this stars. We're wondering, pesky pirouette. That pesky pirouette will get you every time. We saw Justin walk into court at 11:16 for an 11 o'clock appearance. It is now 12:06. We are waiting for them to come out of the courtroom because we can't get any footage inside the courtroom because here in New York, we do not allow, we do not allow it. And so we're just waiting. They showed some footage of him walking into the courtroom. Now we're waiting for him to walk out because it's live TV. You never know what's going to happen here. So we're just chatting and killing some time until if and when, if any, we get, oh no, let me see, Ashley. When, if any, we get a press conference. So let's talk about things and stuff and other things. David Giannetti tweeted something today. Let's take a look. I mean, we're here. He I don't see that he tweeted anything today. Did he? He is at Boston Defender. That's his Twitter. So I'm not sure if you're talking about somebody else who posted something, but he didn't post anything today. That is the Karen Reed case for those of you wondering what we're talking about. RVA, no such thing as a casual Friday when you're a lawyer. I think lawyers are the last occupation to wear suits every day, right? I mean, even like the Wall Street guys used to wear suits and now everything's casual. Now it's golf shirts and slacks. I think lawyers are the last profession that's like required to wear a tie. If you know of any others, let me know. I hope. I'm wondering if we're still doing the King Super trial. I apologize if you already addressed this. I'm trying to keep up with the info. I know, me too. I'm trying to whittle it down to watch the most important witnesses so that we can catch up and try and get to real time. Just so many things have been coming up in the meantime. And very, very sadly, the shows that I was doing for 4 or 5 hours at a time were not getting a ton of views. And so I'm trying to now wean it down to percipient testimony. So yeah, we're going to try and cover some more of that today. And then hopefully we can catch up and get the real testimony of the family members of that horrific shooter. And I want to hear the expert witnesses, but I will recap it with you, the witnesses that we did not see yet. It's just breaking news here. Justin Timberlake pleaded guilty Friday in a Hamptons court in the case accusing him of driving drunk, blowing through a stop sign, and refusing to take a breathalyzer. He pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of driving while alcohol impaired, exactly what I thought they were going to let him do. In Sag Harbor, this live coverage will be of them coming out of the courtroom and hopefully doing a press conference. Justice Carl Irachi sentenced the sexy back singer to community service and said he needed to issue a public statement, which Timberlake was set to read out shortly after court on Friday. So we're waiting for it. We're here for it. So there you have it. He pled guilty to driving while impaired. He's sentenced to community service. It doesn't even say that they gave him a fine. And the judge says he's required to issue a public statement. I wonder if it's going to be a public statement against drinking and driving. Mistrial for TMZ. JT was wearing a sweater. Singer-songwriter arrived in a navy blue sweater and brown gray slacks, rose-colored sunglasses covering his eyes, and a serious expression on his face. Thank you, Miss Trial. It was a navy sweater. Thanks, KLM. Right now, we're waiting for the presser and for Justin Timberlake to give a statement, as the judge ordered him to do. So, David Yannetti tweeted something on February 25th, which is a quote. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. JC, whose name we don't mention on this channel, who claims to be a former FBI agent, talking head on many news channels or mainstream media, Court TV, blah, 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 tweeted 3 hours ago in response to that quote, pathetically plagiarized from the great Theodore Roosevelt without giving President Roosevelt credit. David Yannetti clapped back and said, my goodness, what a silly, unsophisticated person you are. As if anyone does not recognize the famous words of Teddy Roosevelt, words that have inspired many for generations and continue to inspire me today. I put his words between quotation marks specifically to attribute them, not to take credit for them. In addition to a strunk and white lesson, you could also use a refresher course in constitutional law, as you obviously have zero respect for the presumption of innocence. Please go away and pontificate about some case that you actually understand. David Yannetti clapping back against Coffindoffer. That's wild. That is wild. Thank you for pointing that out to me. Thank you so much. Love Yannetti. We all love Yannetti here. I'm on the right. I mean, I'm on the right channel. It says all day. They just have had this up that they're waiting for this to begin. Thanks, Rosemary. Romy, I'm sorry. Thank you, Romy, for the 5. JC is a few fries short of a Happy Meal. I mean, look, she tried to publicly humiliate me on Court TV, and it didn't work out so well for her for that. All the way back in January, two different times I was on Court TV against her, with her, against her. Silly and unsophisticated Yannetti is the best, says SNS. It's very funny. Melissa says, finally, it's about time someone put her in her place. She's beyond ridiculous. Scott, you got to understand she's still looking for the Hamburglar. There's always one case you never get solved. You never solved. The Hamburglar. Ashley said that made my day. So did Elizabeth. Reading Yannetti's quote has made my day. I have a big smile on my face. There's no clip. There's no clip. It was a tweet. Young Black economist says, I'm sure she's happy about it. Any attention is good attention for people like that. I mean, isn't that the business model of Twitter? I'm going to call it Twitter forever. I know it's changed its name, but I'm going to call it Twitter forever. You get paid for engagement, whether it's good or bad. It doesn't matter. So that's why all the hate, she leaves all the hate comments up. Because I think you get paid for engagement, whether it's good or bad. Right. Agreed. Next case, he needs Yannetti in closing and more Tanis. I don't know if Tanis is really on the case. She did appear in court one time for them when nobody else was in town. Yannetti to close? Maybe. Maybe they flip it next time. Jackson opens, United closes. We'll see. Please click the like button. 641 likes, and there's over 1,000 people watching right now. We are waiting for Justin Timberlake to come out of the courthouse and read the statement that the judge demanded that he read. So I don't know what's taking so long. I mean, the New York Post was on this at 12:04 and it's already 12:16. You think Scott maybe he has to stop at probation or something? Like, yeah, the hate trolling is beneficial, says Young Black Economist. Alert, new microdots video. Everyone go watch that later. Jennifer Coffendoffer is JC. Erica. Meg is like, I just think it's funny she's going against the FBI paid experts. Weird. I know, it is weird. It's really weird. Everyone hit the like, smash it, hit it. Rage baiting. That's a great name for it, Hannah Lore Willems. Rage baiting. I like that. Good afternoon. Happy Friday, Jilly Bean. Thanks for being around for 3 months. I think he must have slipped out the back. I don't know. His lawyers are probably drafting a statement. Melissa, you're so smart. You're so smart. CJ's like, the judge wanted a selfie. Iceman said, no, Justin probably went back to get a blazer before he makes the court-appointed statement. I'm sorry, Katie. I'm so sorry. Katie says, it's disappointing that JT drove drunk when he has more than enough money to have a personal driver or an Uber or Lyft. I lost my best friend on New Year's in 2005 to drinking and driving, and I miss her like crazy. I'm so, so sorry. And I agree. I agree with you. Scott said, wouldn't be surprised if he's taking pics or making a PSA. Yeah, Ashley, it was wacky. It is wacky. Mr. Howard, would they have agreed to wording of a statement before today, or could this be a surprise and they're bickering over wording? I think it's a surprise. I don't remember the last time a judge, as part of a plea agreement, required a defendant to make a public statement. So I think you're right. I think that's exactly what they're doing. They're writing the statement. Yes. Thank you, Ashley Oakes, for responding to the other Ashley. Ashley number 1, Ashley number 2. And Submission thinks he's signing autographs. How about Dave Grohl, by the way, fathering a child with a woman who was 19 when he got her pregnant? What's up with that? I really like Dave Grohl. Now I'm a little. Patricia wondering how the media with cameras were allowed in the court building. They're allowed in the building. They can be in the hallway taking still photographs and video, but they're not allowed inside the courtroom. Patricia said, wondering how the media with cameras were allowed in the court building with Asa for Rex Kierman, since New York doesn't allow cameras. They let them in the court building. They put stanchions up with ropes to keep them behind, and they can be in the hallway. They can get hallway shots of the defendants and the families and the victims' families walking up and down the hallway. They can interview them out there if they want to talk, but they can't come in the courtroom. Iceman. Honestly, how remorseful will it come across if Justin reads the statement verbatim? He's an actor too. We keep forgetting. Yeah, Aeon says, I feel like JT should be able to give a decent don't drink and drive kids speech without a lawyer writing it up, but that's just me. Yeah, and that's the thing. He is a role model for a lot of people. I like this part of the sentence that he was given, this part of the plea deal. So I'm very curious to see or to hear what it says. Grass folk, I lost my friends with 2 others last August to a drunk driver. But they didn't test him on the scene because he claimed he wasn't the driver. So the alcohol 2 hours later doesn't work. I'm so sorry. That's a tragic, tragic, horrific story. Prayers up for Grass folk. And I'm so sorry that you lost your friend. Donnie Knott Wahlberg is so disappointed in Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl, Foo Fighters. Yeah, I think she was 19 when she got pregnant. It's kind of, but then there was like some weird Instagram post that was debunked that they said was by her, and then it wasn't by her. So it's been a little bit wacky, but apparently he began seeing, or he hired a divorce lawyer before that announcement was made public. He was also, I mean, he's with the Foo Fighters. He's also, he was part of Nirvana as well. Yeah, your mom is disappointed in Dave. I think she did just give birth. Dave Grohl is a rock star. He's a rock star. Well, so is Justin Timberlake. We're waiting for him to come out and give the court-ordered speech that was part of his plea deal when he just pled out here on Long Island in a Hamptons courtroom to driving while impaired instead of driving under the influence. He got community service and he has to issue a public statement, which he's supposed to be reading right after court. So we're here for it. Yeah, Carla, this was proven to be debunked. This was not, it was a fake Instagram account. So I cannot confirm or deny that. His lawyer isn't the DUI guy, no. His lawyer is Ed Burke Jr., who's represented lots of celebrities in the Hamptons. Yep. I think that's what it's going to be. PSA on drunk driving. And he's got to give it right now. We think that this is what the holdup is because he went into court at 11:16 a.m. for an 11 o'clock appearance. He didn't put a blazer on, Will. Not even a blazer with sleeves too long. Okay? If you know, you know. He had a sweater on. And then New York Post broke the news that the plea deal had been reached at 12:04 Eastern. It's now 12:23. We think they're back there drafting the statement. So we're waiting. He's going to moonwalk out of court, Hannelore. Hi, Laren. Thanks for the 10. My first husband was killed by a drunk driver. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. We had 2 little girls. The loss, grief, and trauma are real. I still cry today. Prayers up for Laren. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, Glare, you know what we just read? Did you read David Yannetti's response to JC? Go take a look at that. That was classic. We are very sorry for you, Laren. Everyone's sending hugs. Oh, you reposted it already. You're on it. You are on it. Still waiting. Katie's 4 walls in her room were covered in pictures of Justin and in sync when she was in 8th grade. I remember my grandparents came down and slept in my room. My grandpa said it was creepy having eyes on you. Come on, cameras. Let's do this. We're filling a lot of airtime. Tokavid says it's crazy because it's more accessible to get Ubers, Lyfts, etc. I remember in high school, my mom told me to always call a cab if I was driving in high school, college, and she wouldn't get mad. I've always told my kids, call me. Call me in the middle of the night. I'll come and get you. No questions asked. Never get in a car with someone who's been drinking. Never drink and drive. I will come and get you at any time of night. No questions asked. My parents did the same thing for me. And it used to be a lot harder, right? You had to pick up the phone. You had to find a quarter. You had to find a payphone. You had to make a call to the cab company. And now it's right there. It's right on your phone. No excuses. It does feel like a million years ago. Yeah, Melissa. David Yanetti's post from February 25th. How embarrassing is it that she was creeping his account from 7 months ago? Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, it says he's going to appear in a drunk driving PSA. Does that mean he's not coming out? But we just read that he had to give a statement. So we're going to wait a little longer. Other people are reporting that he appeared in court today. He will record a PSA from MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, on why people shouldn't drink and drive as part of his plea deal, pay a fine, and do some hours of community service. So is he going to come out and give a speech? Is a lawyer going to do a press conference? We'll give it a few more minutes. The only thing the only thing we got was the footage of him going into the courthouse so far. Twice, like, poor Justin isn't bringing sexy back with this one. Team Brittany said, we always pulled together as a group of friends and rented a limo. It was cool, fun, and safe. Probably a lot less expensive than it is today. Scott said, I told my nieces and nephews I'd come pick them up. Serenity is putting prayers up to all of lost loved ones to a very avoidable unaliving. I agree. Thank you, Mama Shea. Any thoughts on the Lori Shaver case? I haven't been following that one. I watched a little bit of testimony that she testified yesterday. I can't give any intelligent thoughts because I'm following too many cases right now to even have followed that one at all, including Carly Gregg was supposed to have a hearing today. So I was waiting for that to be posted and then it was canceled. Trial's supposed to start on Monday. We still don't know if it's going to start on Monday. Melissa, yes, my kids know to call me. I don't care if they're underage. Kids will experiment. I pound into their heads that they can always call me day or night with no questions asked. Bob says, yeah, Gen X remembers payphones and it was a quarter back then, not a dime. Truth Seeker says, my parents told me to never drink and drive. I never have. I was a teenager who listened and carried it into adulthood. JC's definitely a bunny boiler, says Romy. Penny for your thoughts says, if he's going to record it, I doubt he's going to come out and speak about it live, except the original. Yeah, I mean, it said he has to give a statement. So I don't know if this whole live thing is not going to happen. Let me just see if anybody's got any camera up anywhere. Maybe they snuck out the back door. I mean, it would be weird for Ed Burke Jr. not to do a press conference. He always does. He always talks to the media. See if News 12 has anything. They're usually right there with the camera. I'm not seeing it, my friends. I think at this point we have to assume that he went out the back door. And he's not coming out. He's going to have to record a PSA for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. That's what it seems like. Oh, it's all set up with podiums and tons of mics. All right, Donna, we'll hang. We will hang. I don't know, Ella. I have not been watching the Shavers trial. You can only watch so many things at once. What do you think about it? What are your thoughts on it? Is the jury out on that? She testified. Saw some of her testimony. Didn't know what to make about it. Newsday? Nothing? Newsday's behind a paywall. You pay for Newsday, tra-la-la. The 16-year-old daughter testified. Is that the one she's trying to blame it on? Lori Shaver's trying to blame her 7-year-old for killing her ex-husband? And did she admit to it? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. ERP Thompson Queen, watching from Alaska. Wow. JC raised red flags for me from the first time I heard her. Oh, closing arguments are at 1 on the Shavers case? Interesting. The daughter admitted to shooting him? That's interesting. She said, I think it's sad, and I do believe the daughter did it for her mom to save her mom. Was she being abused? Oh, that's sad. Carla says it's in the best interest of Justin to make a statement, or at least his attorney, in light of the seriousness of the situation. I agree. Oh, the kid did testify, and she admitted to it. Love how we can have like 5 side conversations in the chat, and everybody still knows what we're talking about. Wow. Shaver testified. The daughter testified. It was painful. The daughter said she did it. Elle says, yeah, she was 7 at the time. The daughter has now admitted to it, but I allegedly believe the mom brainwashed her. Oh. I did see like a guy with really, really long hair and like a beard testifying. I guess it was her boyfriend at the time. I watched some of that testimony too. Hi, Hockey Mama 11. Love you too. Did you see that they're keeping Sean Higgins, the alleged drunk driver who killed Johnny Hockey Goudreau and his brother Matthew, in jail without bail? And he cried during his Zoom appearance this morning. Yep. Maybe he went drinking. Not Sir Ray Davies. You're funny. Yeah, this courthouse happens to be right next door to the American Hotel in Sag Harbor. Yes, Carla, I agree. And when I cover a case, I cover it like single thread. Like I try. It's hard for me even to just be juggling. Oh, here they go.
A few weeks ago, I addressed all of you, and I said that my client was not driving while intoxicated. After much discussion and a thorough review of the evidence, today the district attorney's office correctly agreed to not move forward with that very charge. You see, the evidence revealed that my client finished the contents of one drink in 2 hours at the American Hotel. And contrary to what was reported, he wasn't drinking other people's drinks or warned in advance not to drive. He wasn't rude. He wasn't obnoxious. He wasn't belligerent. In fact, he was polite and he was cooperative and he was respectful during his entire encounter with law enforcement, as they were to him. His plea today to the reduced and amended non-criminal charge, this traffic violation, is consistent with these facts and full acceptance of responsibility for them. I would like to thank the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office.
This is not your Oscar speech.
Diligent and thoughtful review of that evidence and a fair resolution, like I said, of this very case. District Attorney Tierney and ADA Shalafo, Bureau Chief Pat O'Connell, ADA McGill and ADA Cangro and ADA Lathier, they worked extremely hard on this matter, and their door remained open for me and my legal team to discuss and to negotiate and to laser into the issues of this case. My legal team, my co-counsel David Smith, EJ Burke, my paralegal Kelly Fahey behind me, my interns Brendan and Charlie, who aren't here, allowed me to walk into those doors of the District Attorney's office to be fully prepared. And their diligence was immeasurable within these last 90 days. I would also like to thank the court for its mindful acceptance of this resolution, and the clerks at the court, Cindy and Michelle, who I know very well, and all their hard work again over these last 90 days. I'd also like to thank the Sag Harbor Police Department, who I know very well.
It's like an acceptance speech.
They serve and protect this wonderful village of Sag Harbor. You see, guys, this village is truly unique. And the case was also unique for me in the sense of geographics. As you probably know, my office is right on Main Street, right across the street from the court. Right.
Stop. I'm flipping to a different channel that has better audio. Oh, sorry. Hold on. We didn't miss a beat.
Is where this case emanated out of. But coming out of this case, I believe will have a message that will travel long distances.
What? Come on, man. They just cut their camera? Oh, you suck.
So I don't know how many of you were in the courtroom and heard what I had to say in the courtroom, but I'll reiterate that and say this to you. Many of you have probably been covering me for a lot of my life. And as you may know, I try to hold myself to a very high standard for myself. And this was not that. This was not that.
Oh, don't you dare cut out the audio. Are you kidding me? This is News Nation's coverage. Are you kidding me?
Different decision. But I've had some time to reflect on that. And I also understand by, the fact that all of you are here, that I have a platform, you have a platform. We share that platform. And so what I'd like to say to everyone watching and listening, even if you've had one drink, don't get behind the wheel of a car. There's so many alternatives. Call a friend, take an Uber. There's many travel apps. Still, take a taxi. This is a mistake that I made, but I'm hoping that whoever's watching and listening right now can learn from this mistake. I know that I certainly have. And like I said, even one drink, don't get behind the wheel of a car. I also said this in the courtroom before, but I grew up in a small town, so I can appreciate and understand the strain or unique nature that this must have been on the people of Sag Harbor. But I just want to say to everyone who's been involved, from everyone in the courtroom to everyone outside, including the police department, that I'm very grateful, and I thank them. And I guess in closing, I'd like to say we can all be more safe out there. And I'm going to do my part. I hope that everyone else does their part. And thank you.
You're going to do
very
your
much.
part. What do you mean?
What charity will you be working with?
And he gets in his car and drives away. I want to go back to the original feed that we had, even though the audio wasn't great. Hopefully the video didn't cut out. So let's pick this back up. You may have to turn up the video on your end. There's nothing I can do about it. I mean, the audio. This again is Ed Burke. And luckily I stopped it right at the time that we could go back before Justin starts talking. So turn it up on your end. I'll move away from the mic. He did not apologize. You're right. It was a bunch of thank yous.
Police department. It's such short distances where this case emanated out of. But coming out of this case, I believe will have a message that will travel long distances and extend far and wide, because it's that message coming from Justin himself as he'll approach here and address you all and tell you what's in his head and in his heart. So I'd like to turn that over to Justin.
Okay, again, I'm going to move away from the mic. Turn the audio up on your end as long as you can, as loud as you can. Maybe put earbuds in.
Good morning, everyone. So I don't know how many of you were in the courtroom and heard what I had to say in the courtroom, but I'll reiterate that and say this to you. Many of you have probably been covering me for a lot of my life. And as you may know, I try to hold myself to a very high standard for myself. And this was not that. This was not that. I found myself in a position where I could have made a different decision. But I've had some time to reflect on that. And I also understand by, the fact that all of you are here, that I have a platform, you have a platform, we share that platform. And so what I'd like to say to everyone watching and listening, even if you've had one drink, don't get behind the wheel of a car.
He's minimizing it. I only had one drink, but even if you only had one drink, don't get behind the wheel of a car.
There's so many alternatives. Call a friend, take an Uber. There's many travel apps. Still, take a taxi. This is a mistake that I made, but I'm hoping that whoever's watching and listening right now can learn from this mistake. I know that I certainly have. And like I said, even one drink, don't get behind the wheel of a car. I also said this in the courtroom before, but I grew up in a small town, so I can appreciate and understand the strain or unique nature that this must have been on the people of Sag Harbor. But I just want to say to everyone who's been involved, from everyone in the courtroom to everyone outside, including the police department, that I'm very grateful, and I thank them. And I guess in closing, I'd like to say we can all be more safe out there. And I'm going to do my part. I hope that everyone else does their part. And thank you very much.
What charity will you be working with?
They're saying, what charity will you be working with? Okay, you may want to remodulate your volume now because I'm back. In my opinion, that was a very poor statement. It was self-serving. I find that the attorney did nothing but thank people, which immediately makes everyone's mind go to, oh, thank the people responsible for giving him this lenient punishment. But in reality, this is the punishment that a first offender in New York would get. He didn't blow. They really had no evidence against him. They weren't going to be able to prove that he was over 0.08, in my opinion, at trial. So he had to plead to driving while impaired. The judge also required him to make a statement. That was the statement. The attorney's statement was basically an Oscar speech, thanking everyone, mentioning the location of his office, like somebody mentioned, to get more business. And then Justin came out, did not really accept responsibility like his lawyer said he was going to do. He took off his sunglasses to his credit. He kept talking about, even if you've only had one drink, even if you've only had one drink, which makes me think that he wants everyone to think that he only had one drink. And maybe he did only have one drink. I don't know. I wasn't there. He talked about alternatives that people should use, like Uber, Lyft, taxi, call someone. He talked about a mistake that I made and that he was hoping to learn from this mistake and how he grew up in a small town. So Diamonds and Doggies says, yeah, this man has had alcohol issues for years. We all know this. This is a terrible speech. He could have killed someone. Ugh. So what say you? Laren says self-serving and shallow. Kitty the Florida Cat Mom says, this is extremely disappointing. JT has a long, well-documented struggle with alcohol. He needs help But this is the exact opposite of help because these people are continuing to enable him. It's crazy, right? Yeah, I don't know what the small town was all about. He didn't say anything like, I'm going to go get help. Truth Seeker says, go to rehab. Eileen is outraged. And that is what you get. Yeah, same in New York, automatic 1-year suspension. He's going to do community service. And he has to do a PSA for mothers against drunk driving. And I really think that he could have shown some more remorse in that speech. I had high hopes for that speech. After all, he's an actor and a performer and a, rock star. But was not a fan of that speech at all. Noel says, you're very grateful. Grateful for what? No apology. I'm sorry. Tokovid says, you're very grateful. Grateful for what? No apology. Didn't really get into the who, what, when, where, why. My 7-year-old and 4-year-old can issue better apologies. Noel says, I grew up and still live in a small town. I would never get behind the wheel even after one drink. Iceman said, I thought he started out authentic, but then he defaulted back to some semblance of deflection and never said the words that I'm sorry. He definitely left a lot to be said. He definitely, absolutely, 100% did. That was kind of crazy. We'll see how they report on it tonight or today. Or Mr. Strauss says his PSA will be just what we heard now. If you're just tuning in, Justin Timberlake has pled guilty to a lesser charge out in Sag Harbor, which is in Suffolk County, New York, in the Hamptons. He was originally charged with driving under the influence, or DWI, and he has pled guilty to driving while impaired. He has been sentenced by Justice Carl Irachi to community service. Instead, he needed to issue a public statement, which we just saw him read, and other sources are reporting that he needs to do a PSA for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. In addition, in New York, if you refuse to blow or take a breathalyzer, you get an automatic 1-year suspension of his driver's license, which he also is going to be subject to and should be reciprocal in the state in which he lives, which is Tennessee. And somebody says I'll make a song about it. Okay. Well, there you go, my friends. There you go. You saw it here first. I'm so glad we hung live for it. It took 2 hours to get to it, but at the beginning of the stream, we did go over all the court documents, some original news reporting, and talked about some other things while we were waiting for this presser. So thank you to my moderators for keeping it classy today. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button and the bell so you know that when I go live, you will get a notification. And to my channel members, love you guys with all my heart. And my replay viewers, just smash the like button on your way out. Feel free to share the stream, helps the algorithm. And until next time, be cool, be kind, be classy. It is not hard. I promise you, it is not hard. I'll see you guys real soon. Peace. Have a great weekend, but I'm sure you'll see me before it's over. Let me just make sure there's no last minute. Nope. Good night, everybody. Good afternoon.